And welcome to another edition of Behind the Gate with Scott and Kate. I'm your co-host, Scott Waddell, and unfortunately, Kate can't be here tonight, so I'm riding solo with our special guest tonight. First of all, I'd like to thank our sponsors of tonight, and he sponsored us for the month of June, American History, and his owner, Patrick Hill, so we thank him very much for his sponsorship of 10 episodes. And we've got a great one here tonight, and tried to get a hold of this fella yesterday. He was a big winner in Woodstock, but before I introduce him, just wanted to go through some of his stats. He got his first win back in 2016 at Northside Downs, and I hope I got this correct, with Manic Hispanic. And right now he's sitting career-wise with 86 wins, $114,000 in earnings, 267 driving average in his career. And he's off to a great year so far in 2024, 398 average so far. So you're definitely putting up the numbers, young fella. So we'd like to welcome to the program a guy who is fresh off a win yesterday at Woodstock in the Walter Dale Memorial. I'd like to welcome Brett LeBlanc to the program. How you doing, Brett?
Good, Scott. Thank you. Yeah, it was pretty exciting today.
Yeah, so tell us about yesterday. I know you've driven this horse before for Jeff, and you got the call to drive in such a big race. So kind of tell us how that transpired, and a little bit about the pre-race and what you were thinking when you seen the field, and what kind of strategy that you thought you might be able to use, especially with the rail.
Yeah, so this was actually the first time I've ever done anything with this horse. He has him out at the farm, so I don't really normally get to see him. And I've helped Jeff out over the last couple of years, and we go way back to the point of the old barns in Charlottetown when my family would take horses for Old Home Week. And
Okay.
in that end, and we just enjoyed it because it was nice and quiet, but we had a nice relationship with Jeff. And after I moved to PEI, he was always good to help out. He'd give me a style for a horse if I needed, or I might help him out some morning breaking babies or jogging a horse or whatever it may be. So we kind of always had that connection, and I did a little bit of driving for him over the years. And then we just got talking a week ago before it was time to make the draw. I was heading to Austin for a little vacation, and coming back Sunday or Monday. And then he mentioned that he was going to Woodstock and you had to take a driver because there was no other stake races there that day.
Yeah.
So that kind of got the wheels in motion, and we decided we were going to go ahead with it, and we got a little luck at the draw, had the one, and it was the one is your position to protect, right?
Especially on a half-mile track, right?
Yeah, definitely. I kind of knew that Dan Desland was going to be gunning for the front. That horse seemed to look like he left pretty good. And we were able to just keep everyone out enough. Paul beat me up. Keep Paul off the gate, but there was no room for anyone to cross down. We went out a little bit to the quarter, and once we got settled in, I figured if that horse made front Tex, he was the best in the race. And he might have been the best in the race if from a couple of different spots as well, whether it was from the 2-hole or first over.
Yeah.
He seemed like he finished pretty well in Charlottetown the last few weeks, so I liked my chances no matter how it played out. But we're able to take the shortest route around the track.
So did it surprise you a little bit, Brett? Like, what were you thinking when you hit that first turn, you're heading to the 8th pole, and you're looking over and you got a good chance to cut this race? I mean, did you think at all about letting Dan go, or was it just, I'm sitting on top and I'm going to ride this thing?
Well, I really wasn't sure how it would go going into the first turn. Jeff had mentioned to me before we had even entered that he gets at his knee a little bit, and he didn't get around Summerside the best. So we'd have to be a little bit careful with him going through the first turn at least.
Yeah.
And I was able to kind of keep a hold of him and not have to ask him too much leaving. So when I kind of had them on the outside, I really liked my chances then, and there was no plan B. Once they didn't beat me off the gate, I looked over at Dan on the first turn and I just said, I'm not letting you go.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so you cut the race, obviously, and went on to win. Did you know you were going that fast? I mean, you were down the half and in 56 and 2, and a lot of people in the crowd were thinking track record. And how was the track condition, in your opinion, for a race like that?
I thought the track was pretty good yesterday, actually.
Yeah,
Um, I think that it rained quite a bit over the few days leading up to it. So, that would have helped pack everything in good. And for the most part, well, the two horses I drove, anyways, they tracked great over it. They both got off the wings good. Everything was in order as far as that goes.
yeah. So when did you know you had it won? Probably just off the turn coming for home.
Well, Mitch came first over, and he never really made a whole lot of ground up.
Yeah.
So at that point, I knew Brody was going to have to come three wide, and I knew Paul was in behind Dan, and Dan's horse is the front running horse. So if I put him in behind, I figured that I have him put away pretty well. But his horse still raced really good, and he kind of gave us a little bit of a run down the lane, but couldn't really get past the wheel.
So tell me about the atmosphere. Just before we came on camera here, you had mentioned the atmosphere in Woodstock, and what did you think of it? It's to me, it's kind of like a fair track, and you really get that atmosphere.
Yeah, it definitely reminds me of home in Cape Breton. Like,
Okay.
there's a lot of race fans, and it's definitely nice to see that the town can have racing again. And
Yeah.
it'd be great to see it more often and on a more regular basis
Yeah.
because a lot of people definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah. For those that don't know you, Brad, how did you first get started in horse racing?
So I was born into it. Both of my grandfathers raced horses for a long time.
Yeah.
So that was Harold LeBlanc Sr. and Daniel Morrison.
Okay.
So I never really had much of a choice, although my sister, she never got too involved. I was the one that got stuck.
Yeah.
Um, but I just always grew up going to the barn with my dad, and he always had a horse or two of his own on top of my grandfather having some colts, and then my mother's father, he'd always have one or two horses. So I mean, I had a lot of opportunity to be hands on and jog on my dad's lap and learn to train and whatnot. So as soon as I turned 16, I began the process to go for trainers and drivers. And then
Yeah.
when I started driving, my grandfather's had a couple old horses for me to drive, the ones that you can make mistakes on and learn from them.
Yeah.
So I was so fortunate when it comes to getting started out.
Yeah, well, your grandfather, I know Harold for sure. I've known that name in harness racing for a long time. I've been involved about 40 years and, remember his name quite well over the years. So you drive at a number of different tracks. You get your first win, I believe, at Northside back in
Yep.
2016. So tell us about that first win. And, you go through your qualifying drives, you get ready, and you have your first few races, and they may not go exactly the way you want them to, and you may not get your first win as quick as you want. But tell us about kind of getting that monkey off your back.
So yeah, again, how I was pretty lucky. Like we had a barn full of horses and we qualified a lot of them twice at the start of the year. So I got my license pretty quick and I was ready to go for the first day.
Yeah.
Um, First drive wasn't exactly a pretty one. I ended up getting parked with a horse that probably shouldn't have been leaving with. And it wasn't long after that my grandfather's looking for a new horse, but that ended up being one of the best things we ever did
Yeah.
because the horse that he bought after that, we won 5 races with and won the top class 3 times in the back part of the year.
Okay.
So that really helped as well. But yeah, when we got the first win with Manic Hispanic, that was a real weight off the shoulders. And that was my first time actually getting to front run a race as well. So
Yeah.
after that, I kind of settled in and I had a good year that year. And I did a little bit of driving in Inverness as well that year for
Yeah.
Manic Campbell. He had
Okay. Yeah.
drove Take the Chance for him and I won twice with her that year as well. And that
Okay.
started things off. Following year, I went to Inverness regularly, and I was doing some catch driving there as well as
Yeah.
racing with Doc in North Sydney.
Yeah.
So, that was a great chance to learn, with kind of the tight tracks and no one's your friend on the racetrack.
Yeah.
Hard way, right?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
no, that kind of I stayed regular there for 2 years, 2 more years,
Okay.
and I decided to move over to PEI about 6 years ago. And I've just been pretty well sticking to my own horses for now. I take a couple trips home a year to drive at home,
Yeah.
but I'm fortunate enough to get a few catch drives throughout the years in PEI when there's stake races and people are traveling and stuff. So I
Yeah.
love a little bit more opportunity, but there's so many good drivers in PEI right now, and there's a bunch of young
Yeah.
fellas. There's a lot to pick from. So you just got to take what you can when you can.
Yeah, I was going to say, like we've mentioned this in a numerous amount of podcasts, and probably sound like a broken record, but the driving colony over in Prince Edward Island is tough, man. I mean, there's some good drivers over there. You got, Mark Campbell, of course. You've got, guys like David Dowling, Corey McPherson, Barrio. I mean, it must be, was it daunting at first to kind of look over at these drivers when you first started competing against them?
Oh yeah, definitely. And like I got a
Yeah.
small taste of it early when there would be stake races in Cape Breton, and they would come and drive some in some overnighters, and then as well as Old Home Week when we take horses over and drive
Yeah.
against it. And until you have to do it every week, you don't realize how hard it actually is. Like when you just do it
Yeah.
1 week, you're only concerned with that one day. But
Yeah.
when you're only driving one horse a week and you got 7 days to think about your next race,
I
it
know.
can by times, definitely. It took a while to make some adjustments and start
Yeah.
doing better racetrack.
Yeah. So you've, like I said off the top, you've been doing extremely well so far this year, and you've got 86 lifetime wins. Is one of your goals maybe to get to 100 this season?
Yeah, that's my goal right now.
Good. Good.
I don't know if I'll get there this year, considering like last year I think I only won 5 races.
Yeah. Yeah.
After start this year, I had some good horses that raced well over the winter. Well, in the month of January before we shut down. Um, my dad and my friend Keegan Madden own a horse named David
Oh,
Lloyd.
okay.
He had an injury in the end of September or start of October of last year, so they kind of the had to shut him down for a short amount of time. So when they brought him back at the end of their season, they decided they'd like to try him over here. So
Yeah.
between him and the road through the winter last year, it kind of gave me a good start into 2024.
Yeah.
And then, bump in the road, she won already since she's come back, but she's having some time off right now. She has a little bit of an injury that she's coming back from with a tendon.
Yeah.
So hopefully she'll race again in a couple weeks' time. I've started picking up a couple drives in Summerside off of with Chris Davies, who's training Bump now, and
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Kodiak.
Yeah, no, and I was going to mention as well, like you've been, doing extremely well with your chances, and when I look over the years, Brett, that I've been involved in racing, sometimes it just takes a win like yesterday to get a driver noticed and to get more drives. So, hopefully that's going to be something that you can build on.
Yeah, I really hope so. I mean, I've been looking for a break for a long time and a chance to
Yeah.
kind of get something rolling. But like we said, how hard it was. Um, it's just so much to pick from, and you really need to get something going. Now, I don't know if I'll drive that horse again next week or at all, but
Yeah.
I got an opportunity and I did what I could. And if he's ever stuck again, or if there's drivers out of town, he knows that he can come my way.
Yeah, and I mean Jeff, he's been fantastic, giving drivers opportunities, and
Oh yeah,
just that he asked you, Brett. Jeff's a really good horseman, and he really cares about his horses. And I know that he wouldn't have put you up unless he had the confidence in you.
definitely. Yeah, I actually spent a lot of time in Jeff's barn, even if it's just talking about horses and
Yeah,
pedigrees. You know, he's a good person to learn from, and
Yeah.
there's so many people to learn from stabled at the racetrack in Charlottetown. Another one that I've had a lot of that I've had an opportunity to learn a lot from is Danny McDonald. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
a few years ago during COVID, when we were all off work, I spent a few months helping him out in the mornings before he went to
Okay.
work, and he just showed me a lot about how there is a right way to do things.
Yeah.
Like there's 100 different ways to train a horse, but there's a standard that of horsemanship that is really nice to have. Like,
Yeah.
and it shows a lot on the racetrack too. And I've just been trying to work on that and keep everything as tidy as possible, keep my horses in the best shape, and
Yeah.
make the best decisions that I can on the racetrack. And I'm
Yeah.
optimistic that with some time that it'll start to gain a little bit of traction for me.
Yeah, no, and I think you'll certainly get some opportunities this summer. So I'm going to make a prediction that you're going to get your 100 this year. So you can
I,
hold me to that.
I hope so. That'd be pretty
Yeah,
nice. I could win 20 races in a year. I've had 19 a couple of years, but never
I
got to.
see that. So tell us about you've driven a number of horses. You named two or three there, but are there a couple that stand out as maybe your favorite couple of horses that you've driven so far in your career?
Oh yeah, definitely. So Manicus Manic, the one I got the first win with, he was special, and he
Yeah.
was kind of that I made the most mistakes with.
Oh yeah.
I know we had some good wins, and we put a new lifetime mark on him at 8 years old.
Yeah.
But he horse my grandfather had bought and then sold to me years down the road to really just allow me to learn while he kind of got back into some colts.
Yeah.
So he was one, and then that horse we bought after my after I the first horse broke down. Um, his name was Blissful's Reaction. And that was
Okay.
Danny Morrison, my grandfather.
Yeah.
Um, they bought him off of Chucky Symes in just before Old Home Week, and he went on to win 5 races in North Sydney after we came back for the back
Yeah.
half of the 3 of them were in the top class. So that kind of really stepped things up a little bit, got me more competitive,
Yeah.
and come a couple years later, my big Harold got a horse named Southwind Ricardo.
Oh yeah.
Um, and he's been fantastic. Like I
It's a
don't
nice
think
horse.
so many races they did with him.
Yeah.
There was 3 years in a row he won 10 each year, and he's been picking
Yeah.
away consistently. He's tough as nails. He had an injury himself last year. But he's come back this year with a couple wins, a couple seconds, and as fast as he went before the injury. So we love him. He's just a big crank and loves the race.
Yeah. So the Walter Dale, I take it, so far in your career has been the biggest win probably for you.
Yeah, definitely. And I
Yeah.
mean, not to sell Tex short, he's by far the best horse I've ever done anything with.
Yeah.
And Walter Dale, $8,000 purse. You know, the prestige to it is above and beyond what anything
Yeah.
I've won, as well
Yeah.
as being first. Now we won the Governor's Cup in North Sydney twice with Ricardo
Oh, okay. Yeah.
in a row, and was second in the third year.
Yeah.
Um, so those wins were pretty exciting as well, and it was nice to share that with family. But
Yeah.
the win yesterday was really big, especially to top off like the trip that I already had, a few concerts, a ball game in Boston.
Oh, nice.
It was really nice to kind of fit the icing on the cake, you know.
Yeah. No, exactly. So we've kind of talked about your goals in 2024, and hopefully you do hit that 100. Any other, what do you do outside of racing that people might be interested in?
So I run a heat pump business.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I do.
I sell
So
heat pumps.
you sell heat pumps?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Where do
work
you,
for Care Controls.
that's where I get my heat pumps from.
Oh, is that right? Oh
Yeah,
my God, look at that small world, eh?
yeah, definitely. That's sweet. No,
Yeah.
now anyone who's watching needs their heat pump worked on, let me know.
Oh, there you go. Hey, man. I mean, it's a booming business right now. I mean, I don't know
Yeah,
what the weather is where you're at, but man,
I took the trade the year after high school. I went to university for
okay.
took the refrigeration course, and I've been
Okay,
with
yeah,
ever since. And part of what brought me over to PEI, the opportunities with everything going on and the government offering rebates.
yeah.
So I transpired in doing my own thing this winter, and so far so good. We're staying busy and trying to be involved with the horses, but I also like to travel a lot. I really enjoy live music and sports. Um, Go to some hockey games through the winter here. We're going to make a
Yeah.
football trip every year. And
Patriots fan or?
sure.
Me too, man. I got Tom Brady behind me on my wall here, but
I seen them play each of the last 2 years. They beat the Jets both times.
oh, was that right?
Yes.
Right on, right on. Yeah, no, I can't wait for football season. I wish it. I'm in every friggin' fantasy football league and all that. You probably are too.
Yeah, no, I do a little bit of that myself.
Do you? So what other things do you enjoy besides your concerts and what's your I know you work full time doing heat pumps and refrigeration and stuff, but when you get a free night or whatever, what do you like to do?
I spend a lot of time with friends. Me and my
Yeah,
girlfriend, Chloe, we're always out doing something. And my roommate, Keith McDonnell, as well. He's got a nice colt, Jack Boswell.
yeah, I got to give him a shout out too, getting his first training win there last week.
No, he's doing a great job with that. He's got a new mare down there he's going to work on. So
Yeah,
we got a good group of friends around the track. Saul Lanigan, Cole McLaren, Ryan Wilkie.
yeah,
Few of the boys moved away, Ryan DeRoche and Mark McDonnell, but we still stay in good contact with them. And, you know, we're always doing something or watching race replays.
yeah. So I imagine you're looking forward to Old Home Week this year. You've driven there before Old Home Week. What's it like to, I can just imagine, me as a fan or whatever and involved in the industry, but as a driver, like the thrill of Old Home Week must be really something.
Yeah, definitely. It's pretty cool. Like, I don't do the most driving as some of the
Yeah,
other guys, but, it's a nice thing. Someone comes over for Old Home Week with a horse and you get to drive it once or twice on
yeah,
top of your phone, or if you pick up a catch drive or whatever. When there's so many options to pick from and someone's willing to trust you with their horse, to trust you to try to get them some money or give them the best
yeah,
chance, that means a lot.
yeah.
So I appreciate every opportunity that comes my way, and optimistically, it'll be a more regular thing down the road when I work my way up. But I don't take anything for granted.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So listen, thanks very much. Congratulations on the big win this past week, this past Monday. It was a lot of fun watching.
Yep. No, I'm excited. Hopefully I'll get back someday.
No, sounds good. So thanks again, Brett, for joining us. And this has been another episode of Behind the Gate with Scott and Kate, episode number 37. Again, a thanks to our sponsor, American History, and his owner, Patrick Hill. And we'll be back with episode 38 just around the corner, and we'll catch you then. So for Caitlin Wesley, my co-host who couldn't make it tonight, I'm Scott Waddell, and we'll see you next time here on the podcast.